get really, really sad when I look at people who are being forced to do certain things. So, as a kid, I was always tagged as a useless kid because I was not good in English, so I would be miserable in my social skills. I was not good at studies, so people thought I'll be a failure most of my life, and I was not even good at sports because if people are bad at studies, they're usually good at sports. I was bad at everything, and I thought I'm being forced to learn and do something which I don't understand, which I don't want to do. And that all happened because there was nobody to tell me that okay, focus on your strengths, and out of your strength you can build an empire. Nobody did that. So whenever I look at kids who are being forced to do something and they're miserable at that, I feel like I need to go out there, help them with the right kind of content, and just make sure that you know what, start focusing on your strength and forget about your weaknesses. Because if you just pick one skill and you master it, you're gonna make tons of money and become really successful in that one skill.
This is Siddharth Alwalia. Welcome to the 100x Entrepreneur Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Prime Venture Partners, an early stage VC fund led by Amit Somani, Shripati Acharya, and Sanjay Swami. Prime is often the first institutional investor in category creating tech startups in fintech, SaaS, healthcare, and education, such as MoneyTap, Happy, MFine. To know more about Prime, visit primevp.in. Are you a student wanting to change the world with your unique ideas beyond grades and assignments? Red Bull Basement is back to empower the next generation of young innovators like you. Present your unique idea in a simple video up to 60 seconds, and the most impactful and creative ideas will stand a chance to represent your country at the global finals in Turkey. Check out the description of the podcast and register at basement.redbull.com. Today we have with us Raj Shamani. Raj has been an entrepreneur, a content creator, and a motivational speaker. Raj started his entrepreneurial journey at the age of 16 by selling soaps and filling his father's shoes while stepping into his family business. After surviving his business and making it profitable, he soon started sharing his journey on social media. Raj today is India's one of the most followed speakers and content creators. In this episode, we'll be talking about content creation, the process to take your content journey to 1 million followers, and how creators are making their passion into a successful venture which generates tons of revenue. Welcome to the podcast, Raj.
Thank you so much for having me here. I think I want to correct one thing there, right? You said Raj filled his father's shoes, and I would say it would be more like I I held my father's hand and we walked together. It was nobody filling no one's shoes. It was like we just walked hand in hand and we make it work. It like make it sound like so good that it worked for our family in all. So I would say it
Awesome.
was like a joint effort.
So awesome. Awesome to know that, Raj. Raj, share with me, how did you begin your journey as a content creator and when did you start? Uh,
I'll tell you, I go back to the 16-year-old me, right? I wanted to become the rapper first. I never wanted to become an entrepreneur or a speaker or anyone of that sort. I wanted to become a rapper because I was very influenced by the few songs which I learned because it was very cool to speak in English when I was in school. And I was not able to speak in English properly till I got like 16 years old, 17. I was in my 11th or 12th. I was not able to speak till then. And I wanted to become that, but life happened and I had to take the part of an entrepreneurial journey and I started doing that. When I started doing that, I thought, what is that one thing which makes me stand out from other people? What is that one thing which will stand me, which is like a unique thing in me when you compare it with me, the giants of the world, FMCG giants, let's say Unilever or the ITC or PNG, what's there? And that was they are telling stories through other people. I can tell stories myself. That is the only thing. Like there's no front face in Unilever who could come out and talk about that. I was like, oh, why not? I use this as a strength. And started talking about how people can grow their business and how retailers and wholesalers would be better off when they buy from us rather than from any other company. So I started doing that, started giving speeches in my small conferences, small colleges, different business groups. Started doing that. So initially, I started becoming speaker there. So that was still content creation. I was doing that offline, and then I discovered this man called Gary Vee. I was like, oh, this can be done at scale. Why am I doing that in front of 10 people every day and actually burning out my energy? Why don't I create one thing at one time and start distributing on Instagram and other places? That's when I discovered that and I started creating content for my business. Then I eventually moved on to how young people can find out opportunities. Then I moved to why India is land of opportunities, and then eventually moved to mindset, finance, sales, and everything related to actually just get up and achieve your dreams.
And how has your journey been of followership in the process of content creation? Like, what was it? It took you to, let's say, 0 to 10,000, 10,000 to 100,000, and currently 100,000 to 1 million. What are the various leverages you use?
Phases.
Was it team? Was it focus on
I'll
distribution
tell you.
channel?
I'll
Was
tell
it
you
partnership?
every time what was my strength. Let's talk about from 0 to 50,000. Okay,
Yeah.
from 0 to 50,000, I never bothered about followers. I was only giving speeches in different colleges, different countries, different places, and I was representing India and UN. And there I was giving speeches everywhere. And while I was giving those speeches, I recorded those speeches and put it out on my Instagram. So I never bothered for first 3 years to actually whether this can be a thing or not. So for my first 3 years, my biggest strength was my life and my speeches abroad, which was very fresh in India specifically. That okay, there is some young kid who's going abroad and talking about and giving speeches. So that got me the initial followers. So that was the first trend. From 50,000 to 100,000, I used ads. I started advertising myself as the speaker. I was like, okay, hire me, call me for speeches, book me for your conferences, all of that. And just because I started promoting that a lot, people booked me as a speaker a lot. That gained me from 50,000 to 100,000. This take me the like from 0 to 100K. This took me 4.5 years
And this is
to do
only
all of
Instagram we are talking about, right?
it. Only Instagram, okay? Only Instagram was not. It was very clear that become big on one platform first, then move to second. Very clear from the beginning. So when I reached 100K, then pandemic happened last year, and I was like, okay, I want to make this my life because now that I'm not going to go out and give speeches, I really miss this part of my life. So I told my dad, I told my family that I want to leave the business. I want to give you this business and you guys carry on. I want to focus on this content creation. And since that day, I decided, okay, what can be my moat? Because just like every business, there's a moat. And I feel this is a business. Content creation full time is a business game, right? So, what can be my moat? I started thinking of a lot of things, but I thought, till the time I don't get my moat, let consistency be my moat. And from 29 July 2020, when I had 111 or 121,000 followers, I had that 121,000 followers. I started creating content every day. So I would be creating reels every day. In fact, sometimes there were two, sometimes there were three. So 29 July, now you talk about 2021, I reached 1 million. So from 100K to 1 million, it was just 1 year, but it was about 523 or 525 videos which I produced. So it was like every day one or two videos. So my mode has been consistency. And because during this time Instagram launched new features, I capitalized on those new features and I used it for my benefit. So it really helped me grow.
And did you also use advertising from 100K to 1 million?
Nothing, not at all. Zero. In fact, my courses now sells on advertising because that's one of the biggest how you sell them. We started advertising after we reached 1 million because I was very sure that I'm never using anything else apart from just organic growth for my channel. And I think advertising, this is my personal opinion. I don't know whether it's true or no. But if you advertise your personal profile, then you end up losing rather than gaining. Because you end up losing money, you end up losing organic reach. And the moment you stop advertising, you're still going to go down.
So you faced that moment of deceleration because you stopped advertising at 100K.
Yes. So I tell you, so from that, instead of 100K, I reached around 130K, 131K. I
Yeah.
reached there. And 31,000 dropped in 4 months after I stopped advertising. Like 30,000 followers in 4 months dropped just because I stopped advertising. That was like pain in the heart. I was like, okay, what the hell is that going on? But I was very adamant that from next time I'm not going to advertise. I'm
Yeah.
not, because there's no point of keep advertising and then one day you're going to lose followers again. So it's better to organically keep growing, because when you advertise, right, you have to understand the psychology. People see one of your content, they feel like, oh, let me follow this person and have fun. Okay, so that's an impulse reaction. And
Yeah.
once you start putting like two, three possible content pieces, they realize, oh, we don't like this person, so we want to unfollow them. But when they organically see, so organically they're gonna come first, ghost you for a while. They're gonna
Yeah.
see you for a while. Okay, what's there? They'll consume couple of content pieces, and then only they'll follow you. So that's a much better following than the advertised one. So I feel people should not advertise. They should use, if they want to grow organically, they should use the new features which platform is promoting. Let's say if you want to grow, on YouTube, use live streaming. If you want to grow on Twitter, use Spaces. If you want to grow on Instagram, use Reels. So the moment the platform launches new features, use it to your benefit. You're going to grow.
And what has been your team size from your journey? Like, if you can take us to the team size on the content creation from 0 to 1 mil.
Okay, so till I reached 350,000 followers, I only had one guy. Till I reached 350K, I only had one guy. That one guy would just edit my videos. I would record it myself and put sit in front of a camera or in front camera, and that guy would edit for me. Sometimes he would record. It was just one guy. Okay, from zero, because I don't know editing. I can't edit. I have never bothered to find out how this works. I don't want to do it because I tried once when I was in college and I failed miserably, so I don't want to do it. So I had only one guy. After 350K, I hired one manager. So she was doing all my scheduling, posting, finding out, taking care of brands, cracking brand deals, all of that. Then till we reached around, I think 700K, 500K, I hired one team who would focus on my YouTube and try to so that there are two guys for YouTube. One is the copywriter, and so who would write descriptions, timestamps, and everything, and one is the data guy who would try to find out all the data. Then we recently hired a thumbnail person who is now doing the thumbnails. These are three people. Then the fourth guy we've hired is writing content for LinkedIn. So what we have now started doing is that whatever I talk, let's say this is the interview we're having, this is the podcast we're having. So whatever I'll talk about here, he'll pick up few pieces from here and then make LinkedIn post out of it. So there's one guy for LinkedIn. There are three people for YouTube. There is one manager for Instagram, and there's one videographer and then one editor. So now there are seven people in my team.
And these are working full time, part time. How are they
They all
doing?
are apart. They all are part time. Apart from just two guys, the videographer and the manager, they are working full time. Rest five are part time.
Got
They
it.
only have to work for like, let's say, an hour a day, and that's it, and they are free to go.
Got it. And how do you make it self sustainable? Can you share your monetization journey till now?
Sure. See, you have to understand that you have to make it like a business, right? Business cannot, if you look at any big business, they all have multiple sources of income. Though their main source of income is one thing, but still they have multiple sources of business income because they're not dependent on one thing. So, same thing you have to apply in content creation journey as well. So, if you look at my content creation, I started with only brand deals. That how, because brand deal is a major chunk of getting money. That is one. Then you start, after brand deals, then you start giving speeches. So for the speeches, because of the authority you have built over a certain topic, you get paid for your speeches. Then you can start your trainings, like the courses which I sell. That is another monetization avenue. Then you can start affiliate links, because there are a lot of companies who are giving you affiliates. They're not charging anything upfront from your audience, but is giving you the cut from their profits just because they have come, like just because they have come from your particular link. So that's affiliate. Then you can also start consultancy for, let's say you're able to build this 100K followers or 500K followers, or a listenership of couple of people on your podcast. So there are other people looking to do the same thing. You can start consulting them. That's the fifth way of monetizing. Then sixth is, of course, this all of this can happen through Instagram. Once you're doing all of this, you start hiring people for LinkedIn. Once you grow on LinkedIn, again the same thing can start on LinkedIn as well. Then you do it on Twitter, then you do it on YouTube. So it's like I have around 7 or 8 ways to start making money, like where I've started making money. And yeah, it's going pretty good. So if anything, if let's say one time Instagram is down, that's what happened last night, right? Instagram now, just let's just assume that Instagram stops promoting me for next 6 months. I still have LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, my consultancy, my courses, my affiliate links to give me a lot of money. So that's how you make it self-sustainable, by not being dependent on one thing. But majority of it comes from definitely brand deals on a platform where you have maximum followers.
But branding is somewhere, it's not a consistent source of revenue, because brand may pay you once, twice, and you have to keep on looking for different brands to.
Yeah. See, it's not that true. I would disagree to this point. I used to think of the same way. But if you're really, really good at your game and you have your niche sorted, brands will die to give you money. Like brands will be coming up front and be like, okay, we want you. And that lot of, I don't agree that you have to run towards the brand again and again. Obviously, there are ups, there are downs. Some months you're gonna make a lot of money, some months you're not gonna make any money. But if you can justify the ROI for the brand who's paying you, these brands are going to be a long term partner. So I'm proudly like, I love to talk a lot about investments and crypto, right? So I'm proudly partnered with IND Money, Small Case, and CoinSwitch. Now these brands are with me since last 6 months, and they plan to give me a business for another next year. They're like, Raj, we just want you because we love what you're doing. And I honestly use them. I reached out to them upfront. They didn't reach out to me. I reached out to upfront and be like, you know what? I hope I really want to start talking about it because I love your brands. Is there any way that we could start working together? They said, let's do a trial. We did a trial. It worked out well. Then you just have to continuously prove them for 1 or 2 months, and they're gonna fall in love with you for another year. So you don't have to think for next year. Now, my next 12 months are only going to be focused on how can I get, or how can I bring justice to this one brand.
Got it. And so
And if you do
is
justice to
Instagram
this brand, other brands are going to notice, and next year they're going to give you.
and is the Instagram the only channel where you promote these brands or promote your the content
Right
in
now,
general?
yes. Right now, yes. So I tell you, I have a rule in mind, okay? It's a very funny rule, but I feel that first I need to be able to reach a certain level on some platform, and then only start monetizing it. Because first, let me build my community. Let them trust me. Let them actually have this kind of trust that, okay, if Raj is promoting some brand, he's not going to con us. He's not going to just do it for money. We trust this guy. And that will only happen when you have a 50,000, 1 lakh follower good community. So Instagram, I started doing brand deals after I reached 300K. Twitter, I started doing brand deals after I reached 40K, 50K, because Twitter is really hard to grow. And YouTube, I'll start doing after I reach 1 lakh, 100K. So I'm at 95K. I've not started doing anything on YouTube as of now. I'll start doing on 100K. So if you see, let's say, if you see any brand I'm talking about on YouTube, that's genuinely, I love that brand. That's why I'm talking about it. They're not paying me for YouTube. If you see that I'm talking about someone on LinkedIn, I love the brand. That's why I'm talking about it, or else I won't talk about it. So after 50,000, I started doing on LinkedIn. After 50,000, I started doing on Twitter. After 100K, I started doing on YouTube. And after 300K or 350K, I started doing on Instagram.
And you have separate teams, as you mentioned, for each of the platform. Twitter is separate,
Yes.
LinkedIn is
Twitter
separate.
is Twitter is I don't have a team for Twitter, because Twitter is, it's just mind farting. Like, what do you need on Twitter? If you are someone who's breathing or creating content day in and day out, you can use Twitter as your notepad. You just need to use it as your notes. If there's some thought, okay, oh, let me tweet it right now, right here. That's it. So Twitter is really organic for me, honestly. I've started doing threads recently on Twitter. So the same LinkedIn guy who's doing threads for me on like posts for me on LinkedIn is the guy I've asked to do the Twitter threads. So that is one additional thing which I started. Apart from that, everything is organic.
So, if you have to share with the audience who are looking up to you, especially students these days, want to start their full-time career in content creation, and their aim is to at least earn like 1 lakh sustainably every month. They can pay themselves
Yep.
You can pay their team. What is the path that you can tell them that follow this and you can reach this milestone, the first milestone that you can sustain yourself now?
Okay, the first milestone is first you have to understand anything which is in a passion economy. Okay, you have to understand this. It takes time. No matter what you're doing, you want to become a guitarist, you want to become an artist, you want to become a content creator, anyone. In a passion economy, it's going to take time. So you have to take at least 2 years in your hand, like minimum. That's what I would say. So for 2 years, you have to think about sustaining yourself and get really, really good at your particular art. And then, if you're creating consistent content on any platform for next 2 years, you can grow. Just the only thing you have to focus is that when you're choosing a particular platform, you need to choose the platform on two grounds. Number one, which is the platform which is coming up. Okay, that is one. Number two, what is the new feature this platform is launched or is pushing, right? Because if you respect the platform's gonna respect you back. So platform, if you want organic reach from the platform, you need to give something which they are looking forward to. So you give that for next 2 years, you're automatically gonna reach a point. That is one way to start monetizing. But the second and the most brilliant way, which I'm saying, the creator economy is getting really big. There are a lot of social media apps which are regional, which are local, which are just trying to come up. There are a lot of community building platforms. There's so many things, right? So you need to reach out to the new platforms who recently got funding. So recently, any platform which got funding is not a mainstream. You talk to them and be like, hey, you know what? I have 10,000 followers on Instagram. I would do regular community building sessions or create content on your platform. Can you give me some money? And they would happily give you initially 25, 30, 50,000 in the beginning because they are looking for more content creators and you are looking for consistent flow of income. So it's a good match. So that's what you can do. Let's say a lot of people have done this, right after TikTok ban happened in India. People moved to MX Takatak, Moj, Roposo. They've paid millions of dollars to people. Snapchat came in the picture. Snapchat rolled out a new feature. People paid a lot. There is a platform which I recently invested in, Avalon Scenes. So it's a community building platform. You talk to Avalon Scenes founders, they're ready to pay you. You talk to Coup, you talk to a lot of platforms, right? They're coming up in there. So that's a good way to start making money if you're a young creator with, let's say, under 50,000 followers.
Got it. And Raj, you have also started, various things after, as you said, right? Instagram took off, and now you are, whatever the money you are able to generate, you are putting it in startups. So, can you share your journey, how it started as an investor?
Okay. My intention was very clear. I didn't want to become a content creator. I'm a storyteller at heart. I love doing what I'm doing right now. So I wanted to talk. If anybody would ask me, what do you love doing? I said, I love to talk. So then when you start talking and when you achieve financial freedom or when you actually reach to a level where you're actually making good money. So I started making good money from my business. I was very lucky that from 16 to 22, I hustled really hard. Like I didn't care about what car I'm driving, what house I'm living in, what kind of clothes I'm wearing. I didn't care about anything. From 16 to 26 years, I hustled hard and made enough money for myself. So once I did that, I had this. I was like, okay, now I want to do something which can create impact. Because first is yourself. Like it's a, Maslow's hierarchy. It's like a need hierarchy, which you like first you think about yourself, then you think about your family, and then you think about the world. So when me and my family we were taken care of, now is about the point. How can I use the strengths which I have to make an impact in the world? So I said, okay, my strength is talking and storytelling. Let me build something out of it and help other people. How can I help other people? Let's say I have a reach of and a distribution of 1 million people. Okay. Can I go to young startup owners and not make them face the same problems which I faced? The initial problems of the startup is they don't have initial users, like they don't have the reach, and they don't have the money to build the product. So I thought, okay, whatever money I'm making here through Instagram, I'm gonna put it in good startups, give them some money to initially start it, and talk about them to my audiences. And we're like, okay, you know what? This is the new startup which I feel is really good. They are trying to figure out what they want to do. Let's all help them, and my audience is kind enough to help them and give them initial set of users. So if out of 1 million, even 10,000 people are becoming the initial users for the startup, that's a brilliant way to do it. And that's when I became investor. So I only invest in companies which is related to edtech, fintech, or passion economy, because those are the specific areas where we can directly help the startups. That's when that's where I looked upon, and that's where I started.
Awesome. What's your ultimate goal? Where does it lead to? Uh, right?
See,
Yes.
ultimate goal leads to two major things. Okay, one is I'll talk about one which is a selfish thing, and the other which is a selfless thing. Okay? Because I am not a saint, and I have selfish motives and I have selfless motives. I'm very open with that. The first thing is, can you live a life of your dream by doing something you love? I want to be able to create, let's say, $1 billion empire by doing what I love. Can I do that? That's the idea that excites me a lot, and that is the ultimate goal. Like, okay, with this passion economy, with just creating content, can I think of making a unicorn? Can I think of becoming a unicorn? This just the idea is something which is very exciting to me, and that's the ultimate goal for the selfish reasons. Okay, I don't want to have the biggest house, or I don't want to have a Lamborghini or something like that, but it's just the idea that, okay, can I play a unicorn game because nobody has played it in the country right now? So can we do that? That's one. And the other is, I get really, really sad when I look at people who are being forced to do certain things. So, as a kid, I was always tagged as a useless kid because I was not good in English. So I would be miserable in my social skills. I was not good at studies, so people thought I'll be a failure most of my life. And I was not even good at sports, because if people are bad at studies, they're usually good at sports. I was bad at everything. And I thought, I'm being forced to learn and do something which I don't understand, which I don't want to do. And that all happened because there was nobody to tell me that, okay, focus on your strengths. And out of your strength, you can build an empire. Nobody did that. So whenever I look at kids who are being forced to do something and they're miserable at that, I feel like I need to go out there, help them with the right kind of content, and just make sure that, you know what, start focusing on your strengths and forget about your weaknesses. Because if you just pick one skill and you master it, you're gonna make tons of money and become really successful in that one skill. So I really want to put that message out, and I can only do that by actually becoming an example for them. Because if I just talk about it, we're like, another guy talking on Instagram because it's easy for him. Dude, I come from tier 2 city. I'm a middle class guy. I was bad at all of these things, and I'm living my dream life just out of doing something I love. Can we do this for everyone in the country? Yes, because I believe nobody is bad. No kid is useless. Nobody is a failure. It's just that they are being forced to do something they're not good at. You fail because you're not good at the thing which you're doing. You will become successful the day you realize your strength and you started doing something in that particular strength. There's no kid who's useless. So that's the big motto out there. Make every
Thank,
useless kid useful.
thank you so much, Raj. It's been insightful to have you on a podcast. Thank you for sharing the framework that how creators can pursue their passion and make it sustainable, and can some can also realize the $1 billion dream out of their creator
Thank you so
economy,
much.
which it's been an honor hosting in the podcast.
Same here, man. Thanks a lot for having me here.